Morning people. I'm probably going to have to move halfway through this broadcast, but I'll stay live. I'll only be pulling off the bay. Okay. So we've got a few years got on board. I need to get a shifty on with this one. I might not have time to have anybody on. We'll see how it goes. Morning brother. Nice to see your icon there this morning. Morning Barbara, Nancy, Ian, Lorna, Arthur, Roddy, nice to see you there. Hi Tina, Lavina. Good morning Anne, how are you? I hope David's well. Hi Lynn. Hi Thomas, nice speaking to you last night. Hi Tina. Hi, good morning Nigel, how was Australia this morning? Hi Fiona. As I say, I may have to pull off the bay at some point during this broadcast, but only a small break to park up. It'll not be a breaking transmission, I'll leave it live. And then you get a wee understanding of how stupid some things can be sometimes. Right, there seems to be a fair few of you on board, so let's get on with this. We'll get the coronavirus update out the road and get on to the news review. Okay, so here we go. Coronavirus update, these are the figures for the 21st of the 7th, 2021. Tested in Scotland since the pandemic reached their shores, 2,406,218, and that was plus 6,697 new people tested from Tuesday to Wednesday. Tested positive since the pandemic reached their shores, 334,141, and that was plus 1,686 new cases. In hospital, there is 529 COVID patients, no change. Of which 54 are in the intensive care units, and that's up 4. Alright. Vaccinated, there have been 3,982,074 people have received a vaccine in Scotland, an increase of 2,641 people having received their first dose from Tuesday to Wednesday. Not great folks, these figures are dwindling. It would appear that the 18 to 30s are just no bother. Alright. Of that 3,987,074, 3,010,505 people have had both JAGs, an increase of 15,419 people having received their second JAG from Tuesday to Wednesday. And that equates to 67.7% of all adults in Scotland having had both JAGs. Alright, deaths. I'm sorry to report there's been 7 additional deaths recorded from Tuesday to Wednesday, and that brings the hospital total, or the daily total, to 7,820. Community and hospital deaths combined now stand at 10,268. Another 48 of our citizens have fallen to this foul disease, and our condolences go out to all their relatives. Bloody terrible. So the death count's creeping up, and the hospital count and the people in hospital are creeping up, folks. Not good. Alright, let's move on to the news review and get battered through it. Okay, moving on to Wednesday. Wednesday had one major theme in the rags. 18 to 30 year olds can't get their bahookies doing the vaccination centres. You know, there's a lot of speculation on why they're not getting there. Is it where the vaccination centres are situated? Is there no access to it for 18 to 30 year olds? Are they just working too bloody hard and can't get the time off? Because let's face it, most of them are living in relative poverty. So there's a lot of speculation as to why. I even heard one nutter yesterday say they can't get after game stations to go down and get their JAGs. Most of that, of course, is a lot of bollocks. Alright, let's move on. Wednesday, Justice Secretary here in Scotland, Keith Brown, says he won't shy away from radical reforms of the justice system. Mr Brown says a dedicated sex crime courts could be set up. Mr Brown made the statement while visiting the Meadows Centre in Larbert, which is at the new Forth Valley Hospital, and it's a dedicated centre where rape victims can go. It's not like a grubby wee police cell where they're rushed to the hospital and back to a police station to be interviewed. It's a dedicated suite specifically for dealing with sex crimes, and they're thinking about setting them up right across all the different health boards so that rape victims can go straight to a medical facility, and the policing can deal with them there and things like that, and comfort, security. Okay. The other idea being bounced about was that the dedicated courts might not have juries, it might just be a judge with two, with a prosecutor and defence stating their case to the judge and the judge making the ruling. The other thing that was spoke about by Mr Brown was doing away with a not guilty, a not proven verdict. Now, the not proven verdict has been a bone of contention along with corroboration. Along with corroboration here in Scotland. In Scotland, you need corroboration in order to bring a conviction. A lot of sex crimes, there are no witnesses, there's only the two people involved, and it's hard to get corroboration. So, the not proven verdict and corroboration are back in the spotlight. We'll see where that goes. They've tried to deal with the not proven verdict before, and they've tried to deal with corroboration before, but our legal fraternity are no keen on changing it. Our legal fraternity believe that the system is fair as it is. But it's a debate that's to be had again. So there we have it. Moving on. Wednesday, Liz Truss, the UK Trade Secretary is in Scotland, in Glasgow, to try and convince businesses of the opportunities of Brexit. Alright, it's not going well. It's no. She's on the BBC Pravda, BBC Radio Scotland, and she's giving Pat a cake questions, and she's telling the BBC that businesses in Scotland are telling her that they're looking forward to the opportunities of Brexit. Problem is, there isn't bloody any. She was asked about the fishermen. She said, oh, the fishermen are fine, we're working with the fishermen. Lot of piss. She wasn't challenged properly. She wasn't asked the correct questions, like what advantage to the Scottish farmers and fishermen, Scottish farmers is there to this Australian trade deal. Straight on to whisky and how whisky was going to do well. Whisky might be a great earner for the UK Treasury, but it's not a great earner for the Scottish economy. Right? Whereas food production, our world-renowned food production, business used to get sent around the world that feeds us, and the farmers are going to get their arse scalped with her stupid Brexit deals. And the notion that we're going to ship things right across the other side of the world to Asia Pacific, to the Asian Pacific, rather than shipping it just across the latter to Europe, is bloody nuts. Climate change. She was asked about the climate change implications. She was basically saying, nah, it's an opportunity to realign trade and have push the green agenda right across the world. You never heard so much pushing all your life, but the BBC once again let her away with it. You know, so she got an easy ride off the Pravda here in Scotland. Okay, let's move on. Right, Wednesday, BBC Scotland digital channel is under scrutiny. The director of the channel and the head of politics appears at the Scottish Select Committee in Westminster. Dross asked about the current affairs programme. The 9, head of news at the channel, Gary Smith, tells the committee the 9 has viewing figures of about 20,000 per show. Mr Smith said there were good viewing figures, it's good viewing figures for a digital channel. Dross asked about the programme's, if it had achieved its aims. Mr Smith said, well, no really. I mean, the STV Scotland Tonight programme draws in about 100,000 to watch it. Alright. Now, there's a thing about the BBC digital channel, you know, I think it's 115 it's on. The BBC digital channel, the thing about it is this, right? The Scottish people wanted the devolution of broadcasting. Our imperial masters don't want us having control of broadcasting, so they decided they were going to set up BBC Scotland, the digital channel. They gave them a minuscule budget of 30 million quid. The channel was set up to fail, so that the BBC and the establishment can turn around and say there's no appetite for devolving broadcasting to Scotland. So the BBC Scotland's digital channel will fail. It's been set up to fail. No budget, nothing. It's been set up to fail, so that's exactly what's going to happen. And anyway, the head of the new BBC digital channel, where's his bloody name now? Stephen Carson. He says the channel's brilliant and it's down to the creative industries here in Scotland. I've never watched it myself, but as far as I hear, the channel's pish. Alright. So that was it. The channel's been set up to fail so that they can turn around and say there's no appetite for devolution of broadcasting to Scotland. Right, moving on. Wednesday, down that road, Prime Minister's questions are on. First up was Sir Comrade Starmer of the Red Tories, second cheek of the same arse in Westminster. He went on the logic of COVID passports to get into nightclubs and other venues when everything is opened up now, and the COVID passports aren't coming into play until September. The question clearly went right over Bojo's head. Right over Bojo's head, because Bojo's reply to that was, we have to wait to September to give all the kids a chance to get vaccinated. What a load of piss, they're in the nightclubs already. Super spreader events everywhere, and Bojo's talking about passports a couple of months down the line. No wonder Starmer was looking perplexed. Even the other cheek of the same arse couldn't believe what he was coming out with. Right, and as Davy says, Wolf, I haven't seen or heard that level of stupidity for a very long time. So you don't need to be a rocket scientist to realise that it's shutting the barn door after the horse is fucking bolted. So we've got all the 18 to 20s and 30-year-olds bouncing about nightclubs anew, with no need for COVID passports, no need to prove that you've had a negative test, no need to prove that you've been vaccinated. So they're all bouncing about anew, and Bojo the idiot wants to introduce COVID passports in 2 months' time. What a spanner. Barn door, horse bolted. Stupidity. You know, stupid is as stupid does. And I don't know what's wrong with the people down there. There must be something in the fucking water. Pardon me swearing. There must be something in the water that's making these idiots, sorry, our Anglo-Saxon cousins, vote for these Tory idiots. Alright. Anyway, Starmer then referred to the earlier, to an earlier PQMs when he asked Bojo if he had used the terms COVID is only killing the over 80s. Bojo didn't answer Starmer before, and this time Bojo tried to come up with excuses. He says it's got to be put in context. We were just talking and shooting the bed. We were just discussing the situation prior to getting into lockdown number 2. Lockdown number 2, because Bodies Pill High was lockdown number 3. So Bojo tries to explain himself away. But basically what it was Bojo didn't want to look down the second time because it was only killing where Granny and Gran does. So that was Bojo. Keep the economy open. He was advised to shut it in September. He kept it open to November and deliberately killed where Grannies. Alright, there's no pissing about with that. The scientific advice, and Bojo also said they'd been following the scientific advice. Bollocks, the timeline's all there for the public to see. And when we get to a public inquiry, well, we'll get to that in a minute with Blackford. Alright, so next up was Anyway. Next up was Blackford. And Blackford went on, wanting a public inquiry started right away. What's being said by Cummins. You know. So Blackford demands a public inquiry right away. Bojo tells him there's no point in a public inquiry right in the middle of the pandemic. And he's absolutely right, because he's just opened the doors. The pandemic's not gone anywhere, because Bojo's just opened the melting pot and the petri jar's open. New variants are coming. Vaccine will be rendered useless, especially the AstraZeneca, which is no longer called the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, because it's the shit vaccine out of all the ones that have been produced. So we're all going for a booster jag this winter, folks. And there'll be a lockdown probably October, November this year. Lockdown number 4's coming. I wonder what Bojo's going to say this time. It's only the 18 to 30, 44-year-olds that are dying. Keep the economy open. Bam pot. Right, so that's you know, what can you say about that? You know, he deliberately ignored the scientific advice 3 times. 3 times. The first lockdown, the second lockdown, and the third lockdown, where he resisted all 3 with bodies piled high. What can you say about that, right? Right, let's move on. Wednesday, and the evil one, Priti Patel, appears in the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers to justify a £54 million spend to increase French policing patrols along the coastline to catch, prevent asylum seekers and people smugglers getting people into the UK. I'm not going to go much into the detail of it. I'm just going to point out one little point, and that is that the whole time she was at the dispatch box, Priti Patel was smiling as if she was on a TV chat show and not in a debating chamber. The evil one is exactly that. Effing evil. The whole time. And every time you see her on the TV and all she does is bloody well smile. Even though she's been asked serious questions about the injustices that her policies are bringing to the people of the world, and the breaching of international obligations and international laws, all she does is smile. You know, come across the water in a wee dinghy without having a permission to come across the water, then it's 4 years in jail, and then when you get out, you're destitute, no access to the state. And of course, you're battered on a plane straight back to where you came from, and you're in the same hell all over again. She is an evil, evil woman with no compassion, and like most Tories, she's bloody well heartless. Alright. Right, let's move on to the next Muppet to take to the stage yesterday, and that was Lord Frost. Lord Frost fires warning shots across the bow of the EU, but then backtracks and says he's not going to trigger Article 16 of the NI Protocol to be able to do anything about it. Now, Lord Frost is demanding that goods that are only going to Northern Ireland and are not being shipped on, how the hell would we know if there's no checks or no checked? He wants veterinary procedures removed. He doesn't want medicines being checked. And he doesn't want food products being checked in Northern Ireland if they are destined, or any type of good into Northern Ireland, if they're destined to stay in Northern Ireland. Once they get to Northern Ireland, must they stop somebody from shipping them on? And he was talking about disruption and how the business community is struggling. As a hell, the business community is just realigning itself with working through Southern Ireland to get access to the EU market. The business community have access to 2 markets out there, and they love it. It's only knuckle draggers that don't like it across there. You know, farmers are loving it, they're getting their produce into the EU. Businesses are loving it because they've got 2 markets to sell into that the rest of us don't have, and Frost is talking pish. Anyway, he wants the EU to scrap the protocols on many of the items that go to Northern Ireland from GB, and the reason for that is it's not the people of Northern Ireland that's nipping his effing ear. It's the businesses in England, Scotland and Wales who have lost their markets in Northern Ireland that's nipping his bloody ear. Because the people in Northern Ireland, apart from hardline unionists, seem to be quite happy to have access to that 450 million of a market as well as a 65 million of a market here. In fact, they'd probably put up with the paperwork to get the stuff into the UK, because it would be less paperwork and cheaper than it would be the other way through, as it is for Scots, Welsh and English businesses now try to sell into the EU. So, anyway, the European Commissioner, Stevanovic, he tells them to piss off. They're not going to renegotiate. Stick by the deal that you negotiated. Stick to the protocol as it is. They says we might be willing to tweak it a wee bit if you come up with anything creative, but apart from that, see you in court, buster. And that was the up and coming of it. So a lot of bollocks coming out of Frost yesterday. A warning shot across the EU's bows, my arse. It was a noise to please the idiots in Northern Ireland, the very small amount that are no happy, and to appease the business community in Scotland, Wales and England who have lost their market access to Northern Ireland. And that's the bloody truth of it in a nutshell. Alright, let's move on to this morning and what the papers have to say. Alright, I don't have time to have anybody on the day, folks. We'll try and go with that again tomorrow. Okay. Right, moving on. The Daily Mail. Pandemic crisis hits Scotland. So apparently now there's a whack of people who are self-isolating in Scotland. Of course there is. We already had high COVID levels when we moved to level 0. These are market forces that are forcing this. And of course the Treasury. We don't have access to our own funds Therefore, we don't have the ability to extend furlough and extend business relief. So that's why we're having to open up. And if people are being pinged and told to self-isolate, well, that's what happens when you get more people mixing with each other. Alright, the Metro says shelf isolation. Now this is an interesting one. Empty supermarket shelves are being blamed on the pandemic, as they're calling it, people being told to self-isolate. It's no, folks. We've been telling you about this for months. It was coming. That at the end of the time where they booted all checks and regulations into the long grass, well, that's over. It's over. Shortages are there. The pandemic's no helping. And the pandemic's no helping, but the truth is, it's Brexit. Nobody wants to run foodstuffs into the UK. And when you look in your supermarket shelves to see what's missing, it's generally stuff that's being manufactured elsewhere, food products that are being manufactured elsewhere that are not coming in. You know, tomatoes, lettuce, all the things that we can't grow at certain times of the year here. Right, so, and another thing, pet foods. Pet foods are getting really rare on the ground, you know, because most of them are produced in Italy. Alright, the Daily Field goes on. A pandemic, disrupting supermarket food supplies. I've just said it's no. It isn't. The warehouses are getting empty now. And with the summer holiday coming on down that road, and the summer holidays here, then families are having to buy more food because their kids are not being fed at lunchtime in schools. Simple as that. So the shortages are more to do with demand and the fact that there's no supply coming in. Nothing to do with this pandemic as they're claiming. Right, the Times goes on. Vaccine passport app under development for Scotland. So apparently I sat up the top there with the keys, mate.
Oh, good to see you looking at it, fuck's sake.
No bother. The keys still stand top of the box and all, you want more? Sorry about this, folks, I'll be back with you in a minute. Thanks, mate. Tap one for you, rest for me. Once I've signed it, of course. So it's got nothing to do with what they're saying. They're trying to blame the pandemic for the shortages, but we've been telling you for months, nearly a year, over a year now that it's coming. Right, the Times goes on. That was the Times. The Scotsman goes on. Deprived young falling behind in vaccine gap. Cheers, mate. Vaccine gap grows. Only 50% of the least well off young are coming forward for vaccination. Okay, where are we with this? 22. So, according to Scotsman, it's the least well off. You know, the kids in the housing estates and the sink estates that are no gone for their vaccinations. Could well be that they're going to have to take the vaccination centres into these estates, maybe mobile centres, in the hope that they can coax the young out to get their vaccination. Right, the Sun says, roll sleeves up to save oldest Scots. Same thing again, under 30, plea to under 30s to save their granny and go and get their injection. The Herald goes on. 1 in 3 refuse to pay fines. Who refuse to pay fines escape prosecution. Well, you can't get blood out of stone. People are already bloody skint. The National goes with Gordon McIntyre Kemp says Holyrood power grab will be final nail in Union's coffin. Much respect to Gordon. Known him for a while now. And he does a lot of good work with business for Scotland and believe in Scotland. Alright. And the other headline in the National is call for a roadmap to remove Trident from Indie Scotland. So there's a pressure group that wants, within the SNP, that wants a timetable put on the table post-independence and how long it's going to take to get rid of Trident. The Eye goes with UK demands rewrite of Brexit deal. No, they did. They're just chancing their bloody arms. Alright. The Looney Rag, the Express goes on. Think again, EU. You must change course over deal. No, they bloody well don't. The UK negotiated the deal. They signed the bloody deal. That's the way it is. Alright. And the star goes on. Pandemic sparks food shortages. And it's a picture of Oliver Twist saying to Bojo, please sir, may we have some more? Right? That's what it is. It's a picture of Oliver Twist begging Bojo for more food because of the shortages. But as I keep telling you, we've been in this pandemic for years. Let's think about this logically, folks. Right? They must think we button up the faking back. Right? We've been in this pandemic now for 18 months. At no point up until the point where the EU checks have kicked in, the new VAT scheme and all that's kicked in, have we been short of food. Right? At no point throughout, apart from the beginning when people were panic buying and Davy went off his dinger, at no point have we run out of food. So what's the difference now? There isn't any. The pandemic, call it what you bloody well want, is being blamed for food shortages, which just isn't true. We've had 18 months of pandemic. Where was the food shortages during that? While people were isolating in wave 1, 2 and now, but all of a sudden wave 3, when we've been warning that food was going to run out this summer, apparently wave 3 is responsible for it. No Brexit, but wave 3. Well, it's no. That's absolute bollocks. Pandemic, nothing. Driver shortage, well, we told you that was coming. The EU drivers were gone. Food shortages, we knew that was coming when Osborne changed the VAT regime, where they were paying VAT in the country of origin and then paying VAT here and all. It just get too expensive to ship shit here. And then, of course, there's the paperwork and the customs declarations were holding drivers up all over the place. They just can't be arsed bringing the stuff. Plague Island is going to be Famine Island shortly. But don't say we didn't say it was going to happen, because you all know we did. Alright. Right, Davey better get off this boy's beer. He's going to boot my arse. Right. So, let's know, we've been in this pandemic for 18 months. The food is running out now because Brexit effect is hitting. Nothing to do with the pandemic. Nothing. Okie dokie. Right, let's get to the usual push. I'm sorry I haven't had time to have somebody on to do the paper review with me today, but let's go into the usual stuff. Alright, support the independent media, because we'll tell you the truth. Pandemic, nothing. Think about this logically. Wave 1, no food shortage. Wave 2, no food shortage. Wave 3 is exactly when we tell you the customs checks were going to kick in and the Europeans were going to stop shipping to us. Right on schedule, the food runs out when we tell you it was going to. So forget the mainstream media and the pandemic or pandemic being to blame. Is it hell? Think about it logically. 18 months. I've got it all down in my ledgers, remember? One iPad after another. At no point, apart from the very beginning when people were panic buying, has there been any food shortages. There hasn't been. But we did predict that this was going to happen. And it was going to happen when the summer holidays hit. And it's going to get worse when the holidays doing that road start at the end of this week. Because then you've got another 55 million people trying to feed their kids over the summer. So there you have it, folks. When they're on the telly today and on the news programmes today telling you it's because the drivers self-isolating and because the supermarket shelf stackers self-isolating, it's a lot of pish. We had them self-isolating in wave 1, we had them self-isolating in wave 2, and now we're on wave 3, and guess what? All of a sudden, it's self-isolation's fault that there's nobody to stack shelves away in Dinny Talk pish. Alright? So, remember, support the independent media, because we're going to tell you the truth. Alright, support Broadcasting Scotland, support Independence Live, support Indie Live Radio, support Caledon Media, support Trues Radio, support the iScot magazine, support the national newspaper, support independent vloggers and bloggers. Not always pro-independence, but listening to what they've got to say, it helps to form your opinion. There's no point just listening to your own side. You've got to have a look at what everybody's got to say. And remember, folks, I haven't said this for a while, but your search engine is your friend. You need information, That's what your search engine is for. Okay. Right, and the other thing is, let's give a little to the pingdemic, will we? And support facts. We're no out of the woods yet. The trees are thinning, but we're no out of the woods yet. So remember to follow facts. Social distancing in enclosed public spaces, depending on what they are, is down to 1 metre. But if you can, keep your 2 metres, alright? So face coverings in enclosed public spaces. Avoid large gatherings, unless it's within the rules. Clean hands and surfaces regularly. 1 metre social distance doesn't work, does it? You've got to have a 2 metre social distancing for facts still to work. And get yourself some lateral flow tests and test yourself a couple of times a week, alright? Now look after yourself. I'm sorry this has been a rush one a day. It's only been, what, exactly 30 minutes long. So we'll catch up with you later, folks, okay? Look after yourselves. We'll be back tomorrow. But when you're getting fed this pish for the mainstream media today, that the shortages in the shelves are down to the pingdemic, remember, we didn't have a pingdemic or a problem in the first wave or the second wave. Okay, think about these things logically, kids, and remember the timeline. Have a nice day.